I'm Josh Cooperman, and this is Convo by Design. In October 2023, I headed out to Round Rock, Texas, to help celebrate ThermaSol's 65th anniversary. And a few thoughts before I share the details of this happening. If you have listened to the show for any amount of time over the past 4 years, you have heard me telling you about ThermaSol. They are the presenting partner of the podcast. And I have had the good fortune to both tour the factory and spend some time with Mitch Altman, third generation president and CEO of ThermaSol. On this most recent trip, I also had the opportunity to sit with Murray Altman, second generation president and CEO, and Mitch's father. I am a fan of ThermaSol for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that we've been working together for quite some time. I have seen how Mitch runs his company, how he treats his employees and customers, and the design talent who specify ThermaSol for their projects. I'm also a fan of ThermaSol for the manner in which they make their products, with care, with skill, and with both the best engineering practices as well as a policy of line testing every unit before it leaves the factory. No other company that I know of in this space does this, that operates with the same level of pride in manufacturing and then stands by the product for life. It just doesn't seem to exist elsewhere, but it does at ThermaSol. And you're about to hear why. The story behind the design is what designers are looking for on behalf of their clients now. And that's a great thing. Product quality should be rewarded. Businesses should be rewarded for what they do and how they treat their clients and partners. Companies should be rewarded for how they do business, for how they look out for those same clients and customers. Offering the best in the industry should warrant designer and client loyalty. I believe this, full stop. If you haven't yet looked into ThermaSol, this episode is for you. And if you are one of the premier designers who specify ThermaSol, I hope you enjoy this episode as well, because it will give you a deeper and more nuanced narrative to share and that deeper understanding of the company and how they operate on your behalf and that of your clients. In this episode of the podcast, you're also going to hear from my conversation with Mitch Altman. Then you will hear from Murray Altman. Following that, you're going to hear from two extraordinary creatives who were the recipients of ThermaSol's Design Awards for their work in bathroom and steam shower design. Nadja Pentich of Knock Knock Design and Allison Cotet of House of Cotet created some amazing designs, and I am absolutely thrilled to share them with you. So we're going to get to that right after this. I am so proud of my partnership with ThermaSol. They have been presenting partners of Convo by Design for 4+ years, and there is a certain amount of pride that comes with saying that the show is presented by the company that is the absolute best in the world at what they do. ThermaSol engineers the most exceptional smart shower products and steam shower systems worldwide for a few reasons. They were the first company to design and patent the technology here in the US, dating back to 1958. ThermaSol, a US-based manufacturer in Round Rock, Texas, employs an engineering team that designs, tests, and continuously refines the product. Their quality control team tests every single steam generator before it departs the factory. Who else does that? Nobody. I have the pleasure of working with some world-class designers and architects who tell me, and you know this, that the idea of luxury has changed, especially when clients want a spa-like bathroom. Steam is mandatory, or it's just not considered luxury. If you want to add steam, you have really one true option if you want the best, and that's ThermaSol. Mitch Altman, third generation CEO of this family-owned company of 65 years, continues to innovate the bathroom and shower space through technological marvels such as intelligent showering systems, sound therapy, aromatherapy, chromotherapy, technical interfaces, and so much more. And now, ThermaSol, the industry leader in steam bath equipment and technology since 1958, is enhancing its already stellar family of products with the new indoor and outdoor luxury saunas. Available in 3 design configurations, each sauna is handcrafted from clear Western red cedar or Nordic spruce, inspired by the brilliance of Northern European sauna technology and design. ThermaSol's latest collections offer luxurious features, and there's only one option if you want the finest experience: ThermaSol. Check out ThermaSol.com and at ThermaSol on the socials. I have been looking forward to talking to you again in person. It has been a very long time, and since you've been on the show, and I've said this a couple of times, you were on episode 271, and we're in the mid 400s. At this point. It's been a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of hundred episodes worth.
Couple of hundred episodes worth, exactly, and it's been a while. And you know, all that time, I cannot let this go without saying that ThermaSol has been such a strong supporter of Convo by Design. I can't possibly thank you enough.
Well, you do a great job, Josh.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love what you guys do for the design industry. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. The first thing I wanted to ask you, though, for those that maybe haven't listened to episode 271, or, you know, it's been a while since they've really looked at ThermaSol, tell me the backstory again. Give me the brief history. We're talking 3rd generation, 65 years in the business. I mean, there's a story there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, my grandfather founded the company in 1958, although in 1956, he owned a plumbing company. He was a plumber, and my father and my uncle, one of my uncles, worked with him in the plumbing company called DNA Plumbing, and his name's David Altman, so it's David and the Altmans. And they were doing, you know, plumbing work in New York City, and a French diplomat named Jacques Solly asked if they could put a steam bath in his shower in his penthouse like the one he had at the men's club. You know, so he was, I guess, a real high-end type of guy, and so he belonged to a men's club. And my grandfather said sure. He didn't know how he was going to do it, but he said sure. And he put a boiler in the basement and ran tubing up to this guy's place, and, you know, put it in his shower, and the guy absolutely loved it, and he was paid $10,000 in 1956 for this guy's shower. My grandfather was obviously elated. $10,000 more money than he ever saw, especially for this guy wants a steam bath in his shower, no less. So a couple, 3 weeks goes by, and a friend of Jack Solly calls my grandfather and says, "Hey, can you do one for me?" And my grandfather says, "Well, maybe there's something to this." And he set upon coming up with the mini electric steam generator, and in 1958, ThermaSol was founded. And that was the start of the steam shower industry.
And what's interesting too is, you know, we're going back and forth a little bit, but it's really interesting. You're talking about a company that's been doing this at such a high level for 65 years. Innovation seems to be at the very start of this company, and it's something that means a lot to you, and it's always been part of the progress of ThermaSol, which is why, you know, the brand extensions, the product extensions, now sauna, which we'll get into that a little bit too. Talk to me about the technological side of the business, the innovation side of the business, and why R&D is so important to you.
Well, look, technology has changed the world. You know, over the last 20 years, it's changed the world, and it's ever increasing in its ability to change how people live their lives and, you know, operate and enjoy the products that they purchase and you know, live every day. And so in order to stay relevant with how people, you know, function in their life, in their daily activities, it's important to make sure that the technologies and what they're used to and what they're expecting are met. And that's why we always strive for innovation and technology. And that's why we lead our industry, because we put in the effort to do that.
What's interesting too, and it's not just talk. You have an engineering team on site.
Yes, we do. We have an engineering team on site. We have a test facility that I would say, in this country for sure, there's nothing like it. I don't know about the world, but I'll say for sure in this country there's nothing like it. And we develop our own products. We don't go outside to have them developed. And for example, you want a touchscreen control. We don't go to a touchscreen control company that makes a touchscreen for, a touchscreen is used on thousands of products. We design our own touchscreen using components and designing it specifically for the shower, so that that environment is a special environment. And because we have a test facility, we're able to develop our products specifically for the environment that they're designed for, and that's very important.
It would be so much easier to offshore and to bring products in from elsewhere, but I think that's what's so important, because having an internal engineering team, the way I think about this, Mitch, is it's like you have an internal team and you say, hey, you know what, I want to try this. I want to see if we can do this. You have showers set up that have been built. I'm watching some testing yesterday that's going on now. It's just fascinating to me, because I think from where the product started to where you are now. So you moved to Round Rock from California, what year?
2014.
Why Texas?
At that time, Texas was the place to be for business, and it wasn't as busy as it is today. And I felt that if we were going to design a facility for the future, that I'd want some place where our team members would be able to afford a home and have good schools associated with that area. And our present state, California, was just kind of running away with their ability to do that. And so I had to make a decision about where I wanted the future of ThermaSol to be, for not only for the business standpoint, but mostly for our team members' benefit.
It's funny too, because I spent 9 years in Dallas working in media, and I love Texas. But what's interesting to me is, a lover of design, for years, like when I started the show, I would call Texas and basically everything that wasn't LA or New York or Miami the design flyover states, right? So design didn't really happen there. I mean, obviously it happened there, but nobody was paying any attention. So you come to Texas, you land in Round Rock, which is basically Silicon Valley of the South, and Michael Dell was here, and now looking at this technological environment where you have the ability and the freedom to really create product that changes people's lives. It's a pretty special thing. That being said, I have often said that when it comes, and especially post-pandemic, if a bathroom doesn't have steam, can you really call it luxury? I don't think you can. And I think what's changed so dramatically is what's available. And we're here now in Round Rock. We're celebrating the 65th anniversary. We're doing you're throwing a party. You ran a contest that is just, some of these designs, some of the things that designers are doing with your product is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Right? Tell me the process about that. Like when you first realized in the last, I don't know if it was pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, but when you first realized that designers are doing such amazing things with this product, this is a moment. This is changing the industry yet again.
Yes, I agree, and that's and from a technological standpoint, and like I said before, how the people use their function in their lives. The designers obviously can see that, and so when they put that into their design, they're coming along and using those designs in the fashion that will improve their projects and keep them relevant as well, for how we're moving the shower forward, and how they're designing them into these beautiful showering environments and moving the showering industry ahead. So it's a good thing.
Talk to me about product, because the manufacturing, the warranty, the fact that you've got a line where every single product is checked, not 1 out of 20, not 1 out of 10, but every single one of them. Every ThermaSol employee that I've spoken to, they wear that ThermaSol badge as a badge. It's not a logo, it's a badge. And there's an incredible amount of pride that seems to come top down. Like this, the functionality of the product is of primary importance. Has it always been like that?
Well, we have a great corporate culture here. 65% of our team members, I really don't like the word employee, I like the word team member, but 65% of our team members have more than 5-year tenure, and 40% of our team members have more than 10-year tenure here. And we take our corporate culture very seriously. We certainly appreciate them and show them. And we have team members here that have more than 20 and 30 years here. So I will say the pandemic did throw, I'm sure it's threw it in every company's, a monkey wrench in every company's corporate culture, because everybody was home and huddled and so forth. But we're regaining it and working on it and making sure that everybody is back to snuff, and I think they are. So, but yeah, corporate culture here is a big thing, and we take it serious.
Adding to the products, you have added sauna to the line of ThermaSol's offerings. How did that happen, and why?
Well, sauna was always in the industry, and it was primarily distributed not through the plumbing, wholesale, and kitchen and bath industry. It was more of a pool and spa product, outdoor product versus indoor product. Although we've always carried a line of custom cut saunas, which is if you're transforming your closet or a specific small area that's supposed to be a sauna, where you panel the sides of the walls and make it into a sauna. But our customers would love to have the ability to sell a sauna, and we were able to work with a company that's the leader, one of the leaders in the sauna business, to design a sauna specifically to our specifications, commensurate with the ThermaSol brand, that we're now proud to distribute.
Take me back a little bit. When you're growing up, one of the things that I just think is amazing about a family-owned and operated company, especially one that's been around for 65 years. When you were a kid, are you running around on the factory floor? When you're a teenager, are you working for ThermaSol? I mean, I got to imagine that you have. Who better served to sort of look at the future of this company? You grew up in this company.
That's correct. Yes. I mean, I ran around the factory floor when the company was in the Bronx, and my grandfather was still around, and I was just running around then. And then after, my grandfather unfortunately passed early, and my father was running the company, and we had a facility in New Jersey, Fort Lee, New Jersey, and there in the summers I would work and build generators and stuff, and be part of the team there. So yes, and then I went to college for a little bit, and then I started to work at ThermaSol pretty much full time when I was 23, and worked my way through pretty much all the jobs there, and until eventually it was my turn to take over.
Tell me about that sense of responsibility. I mean, look, honestly, it's one thing to go in and to take a job, no matter how big the job happens to be, right? You can take a job of a company that belonged to somebody else. You go in, you're a custodian. It's your job to run it at that time. It's different though when you watched your grandfather toil and build, and every building a business is a struggle. No matter how successful you become, there are just different struggles, right? So you've watched your grandfather do this, you watched your father do this, and then it becomes your turn to run the company. When that happens, how do you, maybe it's a pedestrian question, but how do you view that? Like when you come in, did you say I want this company to be this, I want to change people's lives, and here's how we're going to do it from where the company is today? How do you approach growth and development, especially now, and I say especially now, putting it in context with, the pandemic pretty much changed the way we think about home. The idea of home, residential environments, has completely changed. Did that change your thinking? And by the way, I have this tendency to ask like one question that leads to 5 questions, and I totally do that. But it's
you should come on this and be on camera with me.
It's just out of curiosity. How do you envision when it's your turn to be the keeper of the company? What do you change? What do you do differently? Or is the goal not to change anything?
Well, there are core things that you don't change no matter what. No matter, in my opinion, in any business, you don't change, the quality of your product. You don't change your integrity. You don't change your stand behind and make sure that you always appreciate the customer. So these are things that are the foundation of any successful business. Although, like I said before, the marketplace changes, the consumers' expectations about how you service the marketplace changes, and, successful businesses are able to receive that and adapt to make sure that, in our case, my goal is to make sure I'm ahead of the curve instead of behind the curve. And so that's the goal here.
And speaking of which, it's interesting. We can't have this conversation without talking about the pandemic. In 1921, Spanish flu, and what that did for design and architecture was absolutely groundbreaking. Because it was so long ago, many people don't really focus on all of the advancements that came out at that time. The use of subway tile in a residential environment, the removal of porous wood from the bathroom environment, for things like linoleum and non-porous materials. It's better for health, it's better for wellness, it changed lives. How did this pandemic, how did this happening change the company?
Well, again, like from a corporate culture standpoint, it became, we were lucky to have the ability to operate. We weren't shut down in any way because, you have to remember, people think of a steam shower as, it is a luxury and a wellness and stuff, but there are a lot of people that use a steam shower for their health. They have, issues, respiratory issues and things like that. So some segment of our customers are using our products for medical reasons, and so we were able to operate. But of course, with the use of technology, we were able to do that with the staff working remotely, the ones that could, and then of course the people that worked actually building the product had the mask and the whole 9 yards. But the camaraderie, the quarterly birthday parties, the chance to walk around, say hello to everybody, and so forth and so on. That's lost during the pandemic. So that's from the corporate side of it. From the customer side of it, of course, they're home. They're like, maybe I'm going to be home. Maybe I'm going to continue to stay home. Maybe now it's time to maybe do some remodeling because I'm going to spend more time here and I'm going to work and live here. So I can justify maybe putting some money into my home because I'm going to be able to use things more, and home gym, a steam shower, things of this nature. I think benefited from the pandemic and changed the way people work.
As I mentioned, we're here to celebrate 65 years, but also this design contest. I'm trying to put myself in your seat, and you see what some of these incredibly talented designers do with your product. How does that make you feel?
It's great. It's wonderful to see. Look, we make advanced products. We lead our industry, but it's just a product. It's just a product. It's just a box. But to see that box get incorporated into this beautiful environment is really amazing, and it is the goal. We're a piece of that environment, and I would say, I wouldn't say a small piece, but I would say it's just a piece of the environment, and the designers and the contractors that put together these fabulous showers is really the cap on it. I mean, we're the engine, they build the car, and so that's part of the experience, and it's part of what makes everything work.
I love that you brought up the car reference, because I'm going to take it one step further. I kind of envision, when you go to DPHA or you go to KBIS and IBS, they're kind of like the auto show. When you go to an auto show, some of the cars you're going to see on the lot next year, but most of them you go to see the ones you'll never see on the lot, right? And I feel like what you've done here by showcasing some of the projects that these incredible creatives are doing, it's kind of like that aspirational environment where you see something, it's like you didn't realize that you could do this with a shower enclosure. One project that comes to mind, because I've spoken to him on the show, was Michael Gilbride, who did his project. He got special recognition, I think, for a design house that he did this bathroom for. But it was, Mitch, what I thought was so cool about Michael's project in particular, not just to single him out, but everything in this male-inspired. And by the way, if you're interested and you want to go see it, go to Convo by Design, check the show notes for this episode, and there will be a link to Michael Gilbride's ThermaSol project. It's amazing. But there was such detail and such thought put into every element. The invisible drain, the views that actually, when you walk through the door, it's a small bathroom, but you walk through and you can see through the bathroom itself, through the glass enclosure, out a window in the back. Everything that he did was just thought out, and this was a space that wasn't a bathroom before it became a bathroom. And what I love about that is it gets the mind jumping, and you start to think about what's possible and what the potential is. And I think what that also does is it makes a lot of designers realize, adding steam to a bathroom isn't just adding another appliance to a space. It's actually changing the way people live. It's affecting their health. It's affecting their wellness. You can probably tell that story better than I can.
Well, yes, absolutely. Look, a steam shower and a steam bath is certainly relaxing. It's certainly cleansing. And, if you take a steam and a warm shower afterwards, you're totally relaxed. If you take a steam and a cooler shower, you're invigorated. So it's there are things being developed now and exist now. Contrast showering, ice baths, things like this that are, showcasing the hot and cold experience, and how that will help you with the next part of when you're finished with that activity. Like I said, warm would be relaxing and cool would be invigorating. So these are things that have been around forever. And I might add that a steam shower never goes out of style. It doesn't matter, the environment may change, the style of the environment may change, and they're beautiful environments, but the steam shower itself, that will never change as far as going out of style. So, when you do a steam shower, that part of your bathroom is a keeper. At some point, if you're in a house long enough, you may want to change the tile, or you may want to change, the fixtures or something of that nature. but that steam's going to stay because it never goes out of style.
Well, and it's funny you say that because one of the coolest things I think that I've seen in years, really going through the content that ThermaSol has over the years, there were some photo shoots in the 70s. I'm going to say they were the 70s, right? 70s, 80s?
I think they were late 60s, 70s. I don't know which photos you're talking about, but they're around the facility.
The marketing, Mitch, the idea of marketing back in the late 60s, early 70s, some of these, and again, if you go to the show notes, and there will be a link for you to click on some of these, borderline risque, but especially for the time, but I mean, just nobody was taking bathroom shots in the 60s and 70s. The bathroom was a strictly utilitarian space, but not to you. Not to the company.
The utilitarian space probably started, I would say probably in the late 70s, early 80s. The first thing that started with the bath, and from what I remember, is the colors. So it used to just be white. And then, Kohler introduced a bunch of colors and wild rose and blah, 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 a lot of different colors. And so the bathroom became, I get to now play with my bathroom. And then, it was a whirlpool tub. And, I got a whirlpool tub, and my whirlpool tub's this deep, and your whirlpool tub's that big. And so, the bathroom started to become someplace that the designers and consumers could play with, to make it a little different and start to enjoy something different in the bathroom than the utilitarian use that it was. But steam was before all that, and it was a concept that was truly unknown. So it was truly unknown. So it wasn't until the later 80s where the shower became the area that people wanted to play with and design and use, because they used the shower every day, and they would use their tub very rarely because they used a lot of water, and but a shower every day. So when the shower started to become the area that really gets used and is part of your routine, that's when the steam shower became much more popular, because I'm going in there every day, and I take a shower every morning, and I may take a shower at night, depending on if I went to work out and so forth, or I'm working out at home. And to have that steam in the privacy of my home without having to go into some public area is quite a nice item. So that's kind of like the timeline of the bathroom that I think happened during those times.
In addition to that, I think you touched on a couple of points that bear repeating, and maybe a drill down or two. And one of those is, the idea of the gym, and going to a gym and being in a sauna or steam room of a gym. It's still a functional place. There are some people that still enjoy that. They will be around forever. The idea, though, of having that type of solitude, and what you also have this opportunity to do, is to create this environment of solitude where you can be in the enclosure. You have Hydrovive with 300 neoprene falling water jets, 4 speakers. You have a screen. You've got apps at your fingertips. You can watch shows. You can listen to your favorite music. Aromatherapy, chromotherapy. You're creating an environment that actually does what it seems like everyone's crying for these days, and that is the ability to be connected to the content that you want to enjoy, but to also be disconnected and not tethered to your phone, in a space by yourself where you can just think. And to me, nothing screams luxury more than that.
I agree. I agree that it's as connected as you want to be, but as disconnected as you want to be with how you want to be disconnected. So, from a standpoint of relaxation, you push the Calm app, and you enjoy that app. Or you're getting in the shower this morning, and the market's going crazy one way or the other, and you flip on the business channel, and you're taking a shower or whatever, and it's like, oh, this stock's going crazy, or that stock's going crazy, or whatever. So it's as connected as you want to be, or as disconnected as you want to be, and that goes again to how people live their lives and having the ability to choose how in the time and space that they're existing, what they want and what they need, and it's at their fingertips with our products, coupled with the beautiful designs that the designers do.
As we talk about product, we talk about technology, we talk about advancements. Let's talk about the future of the shower. Let's talk about it, because it's funny, isn't it? This is one of those things that most people do every single day, and if you don't do it every day, every other day, every third day, whatever your routine is, this is a universal experience that we all share. Everyone showers. So the idea, and not, when you're talking about something that everybody does, not everybody does everything. Someone might like tennis and somebody else might like basketball, and this is something that everybody experiences, and that universality of it is really quite interesting. So through these advancements, like the digital shower, for example, tell me what that means. Tell me what that looks like now, and how you envision the growth and use of the product.
Well, yes, and we call it a smart shower, but yes. So a shower is an area that you visit every day, and you say every day, but I visit every day at least. And so again, it goes back to how people are using their environments and what they expect in their environment. And so the smart shower incorporates now the use of controlling the shower via touchscreen and the technology that's everybody uses every day. So it also provides a clean look. So you would be eliminating all the valving that's in the shower, the valving for the water flow. You still have a rain head or a shower head, a wand, body sprays, etc. But the valving is controlled electronically. You're able to turn it on before you get in. You're able to set your temperatures and so forth. You're able to do a contrast shower where you get the warm and the cold process that can be automatic, so that after a workout, if you contrast shower, first it might give you some heat, and then it might give you some cool to relax your muscles, to heal your muscles. So the shower is becoming now smarter. And so ThermaSol has a digital valve which incorporates into our smart shower, and it ties the whole thing together. So you have, controlling all your shower and having it being remembered by bather. You're able to choose contrast shower. You're able to, watch a video or just, music, lighting, and then also incorporate the steam as well. So it's a total environment controlled and specifically designed, controlled, and remembered for your specific use. So it's the future of showering.
And you mentioned something too about it knowing who you are. The user profiles is really just such a wonderful aspect to this, because you can set your profiles so that the shower remembers who you are, remembers your habits, your preferences, and that type of personal recognition, again, it's special, and it's a time saver too, because you don't have to go in fresh every single time, because it remembers who you are. It remembers what apps you're using, what your temperatures are. And I imagine too that's only going to change and it's only going to advance. And that's part of, again, going back to having an engineering team. Tell me about the product testing. So when you build this enclave of the ThermaSol headquarters, and by the way, if you haven't seen the facilities here, they're absolutely amazing, and I think only a phone call will get you a tour of the ThermaSol facilities.
Absolutely.
So, I think every designer who is thinking about adding, and by the way, I think every designer should be adding steam to every project, because it's kind of like back in the day, we didn't have refrigerators, so refrigerators weren't in the kitchen. You didn't have, prior to that, you didn't have running water, so running water. At some point, you advance and you elevate, and this is one of those things that I just think is, the potential for universality in a steam shower. Everyone should have at least one. I think that if you're planning correctly, every bathroom should have steam. It just kind of makes sense. But part of the focus for you has been the personal nature and personalizing this shower experience. And it's got to boggle the mind a little bit as far as what you can do and how far you can go between the chromotherapy and the aromatherapy and the temperature. And now you look at the potential, with AI, and I know that everyone talks about AI, but because it just kind of seeps into most industries, I got to imagine eventually it's going to be a part of what ThermaSol does as well. Do you think about that?
Yes, I do. And I mean, the start of somewhat of the AI thing is, I guess, at this point in the shower is Alexa. So, you can tell Alexa to turn on different things in the shower as voice command. And I'm sure that as AI develops and you're able to grab that technology and figure out how to use it to make the showering experience more convenient, more in keeping with what people will be doing with AI, I'm sure it will advance some more.
And because the learning curve is so steep, one of the things that you've also done is the introduction of Sol University. Talk to me about that a little bit, and how designers can take advantage of these educational opportunities so that they can really get to know how to incorporate these types of products into their projects.
Absolutely. You mentioned that, a phone call will get you a tour, but we do have a full showroom. We call it Sol University. We have all the products on display. They operate. We have appointments that you could sign up for online where you show up in, or, via Zoom. You show up in our showroom and they go through the product line with you and talk to you about the product line. We also, if you have any projects or anything going on where you have size of a shower and it's like, okay, what can I do here? What's my client's budget? How do I accomplish this for less or more, or I have no budget, I want the shamalama. We're more than happy to, talk with you and create a relationship so that you have a place to go to make sure that you know what's available, and we'll steer you there. But the Sol University is open, everything works, and we'd love to see you there.
And I cannot stress highly enough that being able to come in and look at how the product works, see how it's packaged, see how it's manufactured, down to the CNC machine back there, and watching it being made in front of you, is extraordinary. Talk to me about the warranty. And I know that, when you talk about warranties, it kind of gets in the weeds of the business a little bit, but I can't think of anything that is, actually more important than that, because that says how you stand behind the product, and it's pretty extraordinary.
Well, we have a lifetime warranty, and it's really no questions asked. For a period of time, depending on the model that's purchased, there's an in-home warranty where a repair guy will go to your home and repair your product, and we'll pay and have it repaired. But normally there isn't any issue. But a steam unit is a calcification machine. So over time maybe it's calcified or whatever, and it may need some maintenance or some repair. And we stand behind that for a lifetime. And we have a a process that makes it extremely easy for a consumer to utilize that warranty, and we're the only one in the industry that has that kind of a process.
Which is extraordinary, and you don't do that unless you have the full faith and support of those who are making the product. And again, it just goes back, but it bears repeating again. It's not 1 out of 20 that are checked. It's not 1 out of 10 that are checked. It's every single product is checked on the line before it leaves the factory.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the quality of the product is unmatched in our industry. It's the best product in our industry for sure. But if you have a product for 10, 20 years, it may need some maintenance. It may need, something may happen. And so we stand behind it and make sure that the customer is satisfied for a lifetime.
But it's more than that too, because it's not just that, but you've also worked other things. Power flush. Talk to me about the really unique aspects to this that not just provide for the greatest experience, fast start, that you get it faster than anything else. It lasts longer because things have been taken into account to make this generator last longer.
Yes, I get it. I'm more than happy to go through all the features and benefits of all the little items on the unit. But okay, if you want to pick one, let's talk about power flush.
Yeah.
Okay, so the industry had what's called auto drain. So after you have a steam bath, the water drains out and so forth, so that the water and the minerals go out. However, you're now subjecting the tank to air, and so the air just makes the calcification worse. It's just like if you wash your car. If you just let the water stay on the car, it turns into calcification. It's like you want to keep it wet and then dry it real quick, so otherwise you get calcification. And so what we found through our testing is that we leave the tank wet because the tank now doesn't see any air. However, with a regular drain, you're not really, and it used to be that the drain would drain like once a month. So you'd have all this calcification potentially sitting on the bottom of the tank and the water above it, and it would basically not have the ability to push the calcification out the drain hole. So we came up with Power Flush, where it pumps water in underneath the calcification, turning it up and spitting it out of the generator, and that enhanced the longevity of the generator. And so these are the things that, through our technology and our testing lab, through the years, how we've taken what is needed and what's being done in the industry and made it better. Our steam-vection steam head. So you have a steam head that, steam goes to the top of your shower. So showers have grown, so you have a high ceiling. So the steam comes out at the top of the shower. It's hotter than where you're sitting. So we created a steam-vection head, which creates a convection in the shower so that the temperature at the bottom of the shower, the middle of the shower, and the top of the shower is much more even, so that if you stand up in the shower, your head isn't hot and your feet are cold. So in a steam shower, per se. So these are the things that, if you didn't know anything about a steam shower, which obviously how one performs versus another, which most consumers don't, you wouldn't know. You just think that's the way it is. But ThermaSol solves those problems, and then we talk to the consumers and the designers and so forth and let them know why the product's better. And constant steam at a constant rate. The other units use a solenoid valve to replace the water that's burned away during the steaming process, that's boiled away. We use a teardrop replacement so that the steam is always constant. It never has to cycle where the steam slows down and stops and then it comes back on because the tank is refilling. You're prone to water hammer that way. But ours is a teardrop replacement. So if, example, you're boiling water on a stove and you take a teardrop to replace the water that's an eyedropper, you replace the water that way, the water never stops boiling. If you let the water boil down and pour a glass in, the water stops boiling, and that interrupts the steam flow. So these are the things that we've done to make the product better. Even though somebody that may have a competitive unit and has that on and off thing and the water hammer potentially thinks they're just all that way. We've had a lot of people that have competitors, they come across ThermaSol and say, our thing does, oh yeah, mine does do that. Yours doesn't do that? I don't like that. But who knows? So
yeah, it's an education process, and it's interesting because this is when having as many conversations with designers and architects and builders and developers as I have, the architects, the builders, developers tend to have more of that institutional knowledge coming into the game. It has been my experience. I feel like the designers, especially now, as busy as everyone is, finding the time to get educated on every product out there is just, it's impossible. But that's why I think opportunities like this are so important. And I'm so glad that we had a chance to sit down and talk. Let's not wait a couple hundred more episodes before we sit down again. Mitch, thanks for doing this.
No, thank you very much, Josh.
You are listening to my conversations from the 65th anniversary party at ThermaSol. We'll be right back. Design Hardware's newly remodeled showroom is where you will find a gallery-style space with a thoughtful display of products, purposefully positioned to allow unbridled exploration and discovery. High-end faucets, luxury tile, natural stone, wood floors, and bespoke hardware selections are presented in a holistic manner, strategically arranged to stimulate creativity and transition your vision from the conceptual stage to a fully realized space. Conveniently located, free parking available. Stop by to find your inspiration. Collect samples, get expert advice, and tackle everything on your shopping list all in one place. Visit them online at designhardware.com or in the real world, 6053 West 3rd Street in Los Angeles. Mitch, thank you for the time. Love this. Next up, this is second generation president and CEO, Murray Altman. So you're learning this process as you go. When did it, I'm not looking for a year, but I'm just kind of wondering, this to me seems like one of those original word of mouth stories. Like someone hears what someone else, one of their neighbors has, and then you're doing something brand new. When did you know that the steam shower, the steam bath, was something that was going to transform the company or become a new company and really take off? And I guess what I'm asking is, it sounds like the same question, but whenever there's something new, you have the early adapters, and then you have the process of developing the product to further the development moving forward. And I imagine in the early days, you're kind of just working with what you have to figure out the cubic feet of an enclosure. What's the perfect enclosure? How high does the steam head have to be? How far away can we put the generator? What's it like being the pioneer of this industry at that time? And then you look back at it now, and what do you think of the development? What do you think of how the company has changed? Did you imagine that this is what it would become?
Yes, I did. And Mitchell did, and he still does. And I'm sure the next generation will do the same. It is exponentially growing. We have competition now. We didn't have it before. But when you analyze what competition is, it's only a part of what a ThermaSol steam generator or steam bath and controls are today. It's amazing what Mitchell has done. He has taken a bread basket, that's what I used to call it, steam generator, the size of a bread basket, and made it into what it is, many products. It's just not just a steam generator, but it is a host of other things that have embellished it. Just like the automobile or anything else that it is, it's an environment unto itself. But It is one thing that I have to point out, and I pointed it out years ago. This is an appliance for yourself. We have dishwashers to wash dishes. We have clothes washers, clothes dryers. We have appliances for everything else, but this is an appliance for ourselves, for not only the adults, the children with coughing, with stuffed nose, with sinus. There are a host of items which a ThermaSol will go ahead and provide you with. And that is so important for the family, not just for one person, but for the entire family.
So, I have kids. I have a son. And I'm trying to sort of put myself in your shoes, you know, growing up watching Dad do what he does. And then as the father, handing the responsibility to your son, and then watching what he does with the company. What was it like, you know, Mitch working for the company when he's younger, and then handing it off to him and watching what he does with it now? When you look at that, what are your thoughts?
I am very happy. I am very proud. There isn't enough money in the world to give me to make me feel any better. I'm just elated with what he has done.
What kind of kid was he on the floor of the factory?
Ambitious.
Yeah?
Ambitious. He handled every task as it came to him. Ambitious.
What might your father think about what's become of this company?
Well, my father's watching right now anyway, so he's elated just as well. And Mitch was his number one grandson, so he's hooping right now. Yes, he is.
I love that. And you know, Mitch, it's got to be a special moment to be able to, you know, interviews are interesting. These conversations are really interesting because they're a time capsule. You know, it's a moment in time where you get to sit down and you get to have this conversation that we rarely have outside of, you know, dinner over Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah when the family gets together. As you think about it, the gravity of, you know, we're here celebrating 65 years, which is an incredibly special moment. Thoughts on the aspect of the family business and through the trials and tribulations and the turmoil that comes with it, personal, professional. It's not like you can just say, okay, you know what, I'm taking another job because this company doesn't hear me or feel my needs. This is your company. This is your father's company. It was his father's company. When you have the chance to sort of sit down and think about it, what is the gravity of the significance? 65 years, how many generators, how many clients, how many happy customers, the impact that the company has on people's lives, which I think sometimes we forget day to day, the actual impact on people's lives. As you have a chance to sort of reflect on that, what are the thoughts? How do you feel, especially sitting next to your dad, you know, and hearing the stories? How does that make you feel?
Well, I hope I don't lose it. Well, I'm very blessed to have my father sitting next to me. You know, he's 86, so that right there is a blessing. Yeah, you know, when you have a family business, you know, it's basically your family's reputation. The products you put out are a reflection of how you feel about yourself, your integrity, and, you know, satisfying your customer, which is always number one goal. If you satisfy your customer, you'll be successful. And so that was the mission number one. And then you get past, you know, you do that, and then sometimes you think, you know, we make things. Somebody wakes up in the morning and pushes a control or turns a timer or whatever, and they're using that product. And it's When you make things, it's a good thing, especially if it improves people's lives.
I think that all too often, I think that's forgotten. You know, it's become you ask people, hey, how are you? And they don't really tell you initially how they are, they tell you how busy they are, right? And I think everyone has become so busy that lost in translation is the fact that good companies do good things for people and they make life better. I think that's, if you're going to measure anybody or any company by any standard, what have you done for the quality of life of the people for whom you serve? And, I've said this for years about designers and architects and the talent that goes into a good designer and what they can do for their clients. They couldn't do that were it not for the products and services of manufacturers and product creators such as yourselves. And I don't think that you're not a product company, you're a service company that happens to make an exceptional product that delivers. And if I sound biased, it's because I am. I've done the research, and we've been working together for over 3 years. I know this product, I know the company, I know the family, which is why I love the opportunity to sit and talk to you about this, because it's really special. Not every product gets to say that they make the lives of those they serve better. Not everyone gets to say that, but you guys actually do that. And I think it's important to note too that it's not done the easy way. It's not done through mergers and acquisitions of other companies that do a good job. You built this from the ground up, which is why I think it's so exciting to look at it. I mean, Murray, did you in the 1970s, in the 1980s, did you ever imagine that this company and this product would become what it is today?
Of course. Hopefully, it's just starting, It's just starting. The world is a big place, and steam bathing is 5,000 years plus old. It's just a way of presenting it easily, and that's what Mitchell has done. He has not only presented it that way, but he has increased it, the enjoyment in the environment in which you take a steam bath today. It's simple. Used to be you had to go into a steam room at a club or a country club or other facilities, but here it's right here available in your house for less money than most people think, and you have it. It's amazing what ThermaSol has accomplished, and certainly Mitchell. His leadership has done that, and that's what we have to think about. Tomorrow, not today, tomorrow, what the world will be able to enjoy is steam bathing, not just bathing, steam bathing.
I love that, and I love this. Mitch, Murray, thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Josh.
Hi, my name is Nadia Pentek. I am the owner of Knock Knock Design. We specialize in kitchen and bath design, and we're located in Oakland, California.
This would be helpful if I actually remembered to pick up the microphone. I've never actually done an interview where I didn't remember eventually to pick up the microphone. Sometimes I forget. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Love the space.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about your award-winning space in just a moment. Mm-hmm. But first, so have you been to Texas before?
No.
What do you think?
It's my first time.
I love that.
I mean, I haven't seen much yet, but I'm super excited. One thing I'll have to say is people are really nice and welcoming and sweet, and I really appreciate that. And I love the weather, and I can't wait to go cruising around Austin tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be fun, right?
Yeah.
Give me the backstory. Tell me how you wound up in design. And I love this story. We were talking last night over dinner, and I love this story.
So the backstory goes way, way, way back. I'll have to go back to my childhood for a second. So when I was a kid, and we're talking about late 70s and early 80s, my dad's best friend, who happened to be one of the world-class basketball players, became a basketball coach and was working all around Italy. I don't know, any older basketball aficionados will know that people from Croatia and Yugoslavia are amazing basketball players. So one of these guys, a lot of these guys I grew up with, when I was little, they were like giants in my house, But anyway, long story short, my dad's best friend ended up being a coach for the team of basketball that was sponsored by the largest factory of cabinets in Italy named Scavallini. And so through them, eventually when this guy retired, they started representing Scavallini in my country, in Yugoslavia and Croatia. They started opening showrooms of the Scavallini kitchens that were owned by the basketball player who didn't know anything about cabinets, but my dad, who was an engineer, did know a lot about stuff. So he got hired to work for their showroom in our hometown, and very quickly became the most famous engineer in the factory, which is huge. It's sold in 70 countries around the world. They do, millions of euros a year. So my dad, whose name was Boris, was quickly becoming the most technically specialized order placement manager in all of Scavallini world. And he ended up going to some banquet just like this one at Scavallini, and at some luncheon talked to the owners, who found out that he had a daughter who was in San Francisco. I was working for Gap at the time. I was in the corporate garment world. And they convinced him to come to America and opened the West Coast for Scavallini. They had a few showrooms on the East Coast, one in Chicago, one in Florida, but really the whole West Coast was not addressed at all. And so my dad called me up and said, hey, you want to start a kitchen business? And I was like, sure, how hard could that be? I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, Dad and I partnered up. I left the corporate world in 2000, and we opened our first Scavallini showroom, and then went on to be agents for West Coast and helped open 7 other showrooms. And we did this for about 10 years until the recession, the last recession. At that point, Dad was pushing 70, was ready to go back to Croatia. And so we closed the business. It wasn't making any sense at the time to run it. But I was now in love with the business. I loved the kitchens. I loved the design. I was like, my interest was spilling past cabinets into other areas. But I had to sort of rethink how to do it, because they didn't have a showroom anymore, and I didn't want a showroom anymore. My parents were retiring, and I didn't really have the support to care for my child and do all this other stuff. So I started shifting more into the design world. And by 2012, I opened Knock Knock and started focusing on design and specifying much more so than selling actual cabinets, and realized that I actually love it, that is my superpower. My superpower wasn't to go count the containers and the cabinets and manage the orders. It was like, hey, I see a space and I have a vision and here's what we're doing, And so slowly over time, I kept getting more and more specialized in just doing the design work and specifying, and that's what I do now, and I love it.
That's amazing, especially in a city like San Francisco. And for what you've been doing for a while, how has design changed? And I know that that's a broad question, but how has design changed in San Francisco, Northern California, where you have this, it is the home of Silicon Valley. It is the home of early adopters. It is the home of, so in California, you have this, California, especially Los Angeles, has always been this home of experimentation. It's where creatives go to test themselves, try new things, see what they're made of, see what they're capable of. Northern California has always been a bit more reserved, like New York City, but you've always had that California spirit. You've always had the money, great clients. How has design changed in that time over the years, 80s, 90s, 2000s, pandemic, post-pandemic? How has the business changed?
I would say, I think the biggest difference was the type of people who work and live in Silicon Valley, in the Bay Area, and specifically San Francisco. Because San Francisco when I first moved there in the mid-90s to late 90s, it was still a pretty multifaceted town. The whole Silicon Valley was still sort of in its diapers to some extent. Not that there wasn't money there already, but it wasn't as big as it was now. So I would say the face of San Francisco has changed in a way that younger population with a lot of money, I would get clients who are like in their early 30s who were like the first 3 founders of Facebook. So they're like so money really wasn't an issue, but their priorities were different. Sustainability, where things were sourced from, those things were different. More modern design. When I first started, I couldn't get away from a cherry shaker to save my life for like 6 months, and then finally like people who wanted blue and red and glossy kitchens were starting to show up. And this new client was more contemporary. They were also more interested in smart appliances, sound integration, light integration, more technological advancements in their kitchens and baths compared to some of the older population. And then as the kind of market shifted and we started going into COVID, I think COVID changed everything in a way that people just started really turning themselves back to themselves. There was a way that all of a sudden it wasn't all about what you do and what your job is and how much, and not all your time was spent going to work, coming back from work and being at work. You were now at home looking at your family, looking at your spaces and realizing, hey, I actually kind of like the slowdown. It's okay to self-care. It's okay to, worry about your health and wellness and well-being and your family. And so people started sort of shifting their focus. That changed the design in a bunch of different ways, but I think specifically for the bathrooms, it was more about the luxury. It was more about creating sanctuaries. It was more about creating a place where you can really, truly enjoy and care of yourself instead of take a 5-minute shower, brush your teeth, and be on the next train to work, So I think the way people lived and stayed in their spaces changed a great deal during COVID.
Tell me about the connection between luxury and personal wellness.
When you have luxury items, there's, luxury, I think it facilitates wellness. Being able to have like an infrared sauna or a steam shower or a massage shower or heated floors and all of these things, they are luxury items, but they are also a way to facilitate for you to feel good about yourself, to feel comfortable, to feel that you can actually care for yourself in a specific way. I'm not saying that self-care doesn't exist without the luxury items, but I think the luxury items definitely make it feel easier to access certain states of your body, states of your feeling when you have those luxury items accessible to you.
I feel like, and give me your take on this, but I feel like, following this financial crisis, the Great Recession that we had 08, 09, following that, there was this sense of, I gotta keep running. I gotta keep going. When you meet people at events, right, and you get together like we did post-pandemic, and you got to say, hey, how are you? Here's what comes out of 95% of people's mouths: I'm so busy. I'm busier than I've ever been before. I'm traveling more than I did. I'm busier. I'm doing more projects. There's this disconnect that's sort of taking place now. Where people, when they think about what it is that they actually want, which unless you have time to stop down and really think about what you really, really want, you don't really think about it. And so you don't act on it. This idea of, I want to slow down. I want to stop for a minute. I want to be able to just sort of chill and relax, reflect, spend more time with family and friends, travel, do the fun things that we've not been doing for the last 12, 13, 14 years. And I kind of feel like that has drawn this connection between the idea of what luxury actually is. It's a great conversation, and luxury is not always having the most expensive item. It's not always having, like, there's Swarovski crystals in my shower so that the water reflects. And I don't know, it's silly. But it's true, and it's kind of like this idea of luxury has become synonymous with wellness, and wellness synonymous with luxury. And I'm curious if you're finding that now, and it sounds like you are. And take me back to this particular project. The clients for whom you designed it what they were asking you for. What are clients asking you for in that regard these days?
Well, I'm going to backtrack to one of your multiple comments and questions and say my personal take is that time is the biggest luxury. And if you invest in your home to be a place where you really truly feel cared for and nurtured and good, then you are going to allow more time to be in that home and care for yourself, and that is a luxury, whether you have Swarovski crystals in your bathroom or not. And so I think that is the realization that people are coming out of COVID and coming out of all the craziness. I don't know anybody who didn't have really challenging couple of years or 3 or 4, or, people are coming out of it now, and I see it everywhere. But I think being able to devote time for yourself in whatever way you can in a home that you love is the biggest kind of statement of luxury you can make, and then from there it becomes a question of budget, right? So Leisha, my client, who I did this bathroom for, her and I already had history. She hired me originally when she first bought the house, which was over 5 years ago. And at the time, she was a starter homeowner, just had a baby. Our budgets were somewhat limited, and we were redoing the kitchen, which was a disaster at the time. So kitchen was first, and she knew she had 2 other bathrooms to do. And then 2 years ago, she called me, and we did the guest bath downstairs, and we were sort of saving the primary bath for last because that was her place, her space where she could, she has a really challenging job. She's a single mom. And so having an oasis where she can hang out in her tub or get her steam going or whatever, this was really important. So her and I really kind of were the most excited about this project and how to create a space that she can really care for herself, relax, feel good, do her makeup, do her whatever morning routines, and just really feel like a queen when she comes out. So that was our goal. So we were immediately looking at chandeliers and freestanding tubs, and she right away, right off the bat, said she wanted to have a steam shower. So that was a focus from day one. We just went through several iterations on how to organize the space. It was an older house. We had like one of those old tubs that was like tiled all with grout and everything. Yeah, Alice is laughing. And so there was like things that we had to tear down, and basically we tore out the whole place and started from scratch, created a whole new floor plan that allowed for the bigger shower, that we can put a bench in, that we can put the steam in, that we can sort of create a zone. So it was really kind of designed around the steam shower, and because we're in California, labor prices are so ridiculous. We knew we sort of had to pick and choose our items that were we going to. So we knew our luxury items was the ThermaSol steam shower, and we knew we wanted to put the heated floors in. But then so I helped source other things in places that may be more entry-level budget price points so that we can compensate and make sure that our budget still comes out in time. So if your designer is willing, knows how to use a spreadsheet or a calculator, then, and you put the work in, and we really put the work in. We put a year into sourcing all the items to make sure that eventually it all falls into place and that the budget is the right budget, but that it still looks amazing and it has all the qualities of the bathroom that she wanted, that was specific things she wanted, and we got them all in. So,
as a designer, do you favor the official reveal, or do you like sort of the soft reveal where it's kind of they see the work in process and they see it coming along, or do you like that moment when it's done to walk them through?
It's kind of hard to do that unless they like go on vacation while the remodeling. So it's really hard to walk them away from the bathroom or kitchen and say, don't look for 3 months, So, but if it were up to me, it would always just be the before and after, you don't see the things in between, because a lot of times things in between cause some anxiety for the client. They don't understand what's going on. They don't understand why things are taking so long. They don't understand why the walls haven't been closed up because the inspection hasn't been So a lot of times they're creating for themselves a little bit of anxiety because they don't understand that it's actually all happening the way it's supposed to be happening, and it's not pretty along the way. It will be pretty when it's done. So if I could have my way and just do the reveal, that would be my choice.
I always have to ask I don't have to. I choose to. I always ask California designers about the added challenges. Like, it's not hard enough. I get the eye roll. I know. It's not hard enough to talk to clients about their budget. It's not hard enough to work with the cities about, inspections. It's not hard enough to work with the trades. It's not hard enough to specify exactly what the client wants and do everything the client needs. But now in California, I mean, I get it. We talk about sustainability and the desire for sustainability, but there's a difference between talking about it in concept and theory and practical application. It's hard. How do you navigate the currently changing and always changing? Now when you do kitchens, you're saying, okay, well, I can't do natural gas, so everything's got to be electrified. How do you navigate that as a professional when things keep changing so quickly? It's like trying to walk on quicksand.
Well, I think part of it is that our vendors are really well trained and educated, and so I rely on my reps to bring me new information when something is specifically changing about the product. Like, for example, in California, all the faucets have to be 1.75 gallons, and the showers are all limited to 1.8 because they don't want you to waste the water. As a matter of fact, a fair amount of my clients are just pulling the tubs out of their houses altogether because they don't want to fill it up. And so the thing for me is that I care about that. I care about sustainability. I care about saving the water. I care about all those things. So it's not that hard for me to stay on top of it and find out what the next thing is. I also, for example, love induction cooktops. So the fact that they're going to just ban the gas doesn't really bother me as much, but it is for some people a big struggle. So I encourage people to educate themselves, to also go to vendors, to go see demos. If it's a new product that they have to adopt, for example, like an induction cooktop or something like that, go see it in action. Everybody will show you how it works. But the reality is that not just us as professionals and not just the vendors, but also the clients are getting educated because it does matter to them. So they'll come to me and be like, hey, I found this amazing recycled material that they are now making floors out, or what do you think about using that, or whatever that case may be. Or they'll tell me that they want to use a specific material for their cabinets or something else because of the way it was sourced or where it came from or whatever. So I think if you collaborate with all of your village, and your village is not just you, it's the contractors, the vendors, the stores, the retailers, the public officials as well, then you'll have the information that you need.
So you actually, and I asked the question further because, here we are at ThermaSol in Round Rock, Texas, and we're sitting in their Sol University, which is their learning center. So you take advantage when brands provide opportunity.
Anytime somebody wants to train me, I'm there.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because here's the other side of that I think is really kind of tricky, right? Because there are so many lunch and learns, CEUs, meetings, gatherings, trade organizations with functions. How do you prioritize?
I prioritize based on what are the brands and products that matter to me the most, that I've noticed that my clients use the most. So, for example, if I've had a training by a ThermaSol this year, I probably won't go next year because unless there's something so amazing that was developed, they'll call me up and be like, hey, you need to see this, and then the rep will come in and show me. But for the most part, you can kind of stagger the information and the training that you're getting so that you're not completely going crazy running around from one lunch and learn to the next. Luckily the industry doesn't move that fast that, when new information shows up that you don't have time to learn it. And so I think that it's a matter of just putting a little bit of effort. It doesn't have to be a full-time job, but once a quarter, if you can learn something new, it's probably sufficient for you to stay on top of the information in the industry.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I am so happy for you. Love your project.
Thank you.
It's amazing. You did a masterful job. Thank you for doing this, and congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Nadja. You are going to hear from Allison Cotet of House of Cotet right after this.
We are living at a time of incredible growth, both technologically and creatively, with respect to interior design, exterior design, and architecture. There is no question. There are companies thinking differently about the business of design and how to make products super serve those for whom they're being made. One of those companies, and one of my favorites, is Moya Living. Designer and fabricators of some of the most stunningly beautiful, incredibly durable, and highly functional kitchen, bath, and outdoor kitchen cabinetry on the market today. Powder-coated steel with stunning lines, vibrant colors to fit any design style or aesthetic. A history of designing cabinetry for the scientific community, so you know it's been tested in some of the truly the most harsh conditions available. Moya O'Neill is the CEO and founder of Moya Living. She's the inspiration behind the design. Designers, their specification process is so simple, it will make your job so much easier. Check them out online through the socials at Moya Living, their website, moyaliving.com, and in the real world, their live kitchen showroom in Fountain Valley, California.
Hi, my name is Allison Cotet. I am with House of Cotet, and we are located in Houston, Texas.
So we're here in Round Rock.
Yes.
At the ThermaSol headquarters, and I love that we had a chance to meet this way.
Yep.
Why are we here?
So I remodeled a bathroom, and we put in ThermaSol steam shower, and I entered into the competition for the 65th anniversary for ThermaSol, and we won. So top 3.
You did, and congratulations.
Thank you.
The space is absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to talk about that in a minute. But first, tell me the story. How'd you wind up doing what you're doing?
So I went to school. I've always wanted to be an architect. Ever since I was a little girl, when I would play Barbie, like I wouldn't play Barbie like normal. I would actually set up their whole house and kind of do like their house and like design it, you know, all kinds of cool things. And it would always be something different every time I would set up their house. And then once I was done, it was probably like 2 hours later and I'm done. Like, I don't want to play Barbie anymore. So I went to school to be an architect. That didn't work out, but I'm still like a draftsman, so I can work for an architect if I wanted to. But I actually got a job as a project coordinator's assistant. And then like 2 weeks later, she just quit her job. And we were doing like $2 million to $4 million custom homes. So I had to learn everything. So I had to learn how to support the project managers in this company. So I learned everything and I loved it so much. And at the time so they would like hire a third-party interior designer to do all the design, and I was just ordering and making sure the quotes were right. And she would always take her time, you know, like it was never the full package of what we needed to complete the house. So I was always having to like finish her work. And I told the builder, I said, look, give me a chance. Let me do one house. I will blow your mind. And he did. And from there, I was the interior designer for all the projects from there on. So when I would go home from my project coordinator position, I would go home and work as a designer, and I would turn in my work so that I can complete that job. So I started there. I was with them for like 3 years. And then, so I didn't want to work there for so long just because it wasn't the right place for me. I found Brian Phillips with Case and Gray. I was with him as only the interior designer. And I was there for 3.5 years until I decided to go on my own. So when I did decide to go on my own, Brian Phillips already knew that I had an LLC, House of Cotet, and he was okay with that. So he knew that I had like my own business on the side, and he was fine with that. So this year in January, I am actually on my own. So yeah, that's where everything started.
Congratulations. You know what? Starting a year off with a major award for bathroom design and starting your, really on your own, it's going to feel pretty good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I I, for a long time, was so nervous to be on my own. And this year, like, it was a big step for me, and I enjoy it so much.
How does what you learned as an architect inform and impact the way you work as a designer?
So, because I went to school for architecture, I know the software that they use, and that's AutoCAD. So that helps me a lot. So if there's like furniture placement, if we're doing like a light remodel or cabinet elevations that need to be done, I get all that done. So that's really what helped me.
So you work in CAD, you do it yourself?
I do, yes.
I have to imagine that is an absolutely incredible advantage.
Oh yeah.
To have.
100%.
Right?
Most times interior designers will send that to like a third party contractor, whoever does it, and it takes a long time, and it's more money for the client, but I do it all in-house.
One of the superpowers of designers, one of the skills that some of the best designers have, is the ability to measure. And it's funny. You're laughing because this is true. It's one of those things where it's like you'd think it just comes so naturally to do measurements, but it doesn't. Not all designers know how to do measurements. Some don't even try. They outsource their measurements and CAD input to somebody else. I have to imagine that too is something that you learned early on.
100%. Yes. And as a project coordinator, sometimes project managers, they were so busy that they kind of needed that extra help. So I would go to the houses and kind of help them. And because I know Spanish like fluently, I would talk to the painter. I would talk to the carpenter in Spanish. I would go to the T with measurements and everything. And I learned even more on the field than just in school.
It's really interesting. That's another advantage. It's funny because honestly, I don't talk about that a lot. But now that you mention it, what an incredible advantage too. There is not just speaking Spanish fluently, because that is really important, because many, if not most of the trades are Spanish speakers, original Spanish speakers, first language Spanish speakers. But what's interesting about it too is, not language aside, there is a vernacular. There's a different, it's like a different language talking to trades, and because it's a more technical conversation, and sometimes trying to explain, I want this book matched, or I want this to look this way, I want the trim to be reversed here, or it seems like it's a great advantage for you.
Oh yes, 100%. It helps me every single day. And from those contractors, I learn a lot. Like I learned a lot from, taking the measurements and getting, sometimes I know the answer to specific problems that go on. And I ask them, what would you do? Because sometimes they have a better solution. So I'm always learning. Every day is a learning curve for all of us, really.
By the way, what would you do is one of the best hacks there are.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yes.
And all too often, some people don't, true type A uber creatives don't naturally like to ask for help. Is that something that you've always been comfortable with? Being able to ask for help or assistance or advice or input.
Oh yeah.
Is amazing.
Yep.
Have you always been that way?
I've always been a team player.
Yeah.
Always. My contractors, I don't scream at them. We are on the same team. I've seen so many like really just bad situations where I would never want to be that person. They are your team. Like we are working on this house and we are trying to get to the same result. So yeah, it's a team effort, and it's always been. So like when they mess up, I'm like, how do we fix this? How do we fix this together? What can I do to help?
I love that.
Yeah.
So let's get back to this award-winning bathroom of yours, which, by the way, it's one of those things like nobody can ever take that away from you. Once you're an award winner, you're an award winner for life. It's awesome. Tell me about the space. Tell me about the desires of the client, and talk to me about sort of the coming together, the crossroads of desire and luxury, and and making this something that really fulfilled all their needs?
So the client is actually the owner of an Allaire Homes, so he is a builder himself. And he reached out to me because I was under Brian Phillips, which he also owns an Allaire. It's like a franchise. So he said, "Hey, Allison, like my master bathroom needs help. It just looks very outdated. We want to refresh." And he kind of told me he wants a steam shower. He wants the floors to be heated. He wants a freestanding tub, the must-haves. And I said, okay. I walked his house. I felt like I looked at the style that he has. I felt what he really wanted in that space, and kind of, I walked it to get an idea of that style that he wanted. And I said, okay. So what I normally do is I put a design packet together. I bring all the finishes, the tile, the plumbing, the hardware, everything together so you can see all that in one packet. And then I present it with all the samples. He didn't want to change anything but one thing. One thing was the green tile that's around the tub. He was like, "Allison, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do green tile? It's going to stand out so much." I said, "Trust me, you need a pop of something, and that's your pop." So he said, okay. And now it's his favorite thing in the bathroom. So what I did in the space is I didn't want to use the same tile for the walls, for the floor, for the tub surround, for the vanity wall. I wanted to be more creative and bring all these materials together and mix them. So the floor is like a porcelain. It's a white, kind of matte finish. The slabs in the bathroom, they're like a black slab with a lot of rusty veins. The tile in the tub is the green tile. And then behind the vanity is it looks like a wooden slated tile, and that's kind of like a wooden tone. So I mixed all these elements together. I also mixed the finishes in the bathroom. A lot of people are scared to mix, and they think they need to match everything. They think they need to match the shower trim, the plumbing, the faucet, the hardware, the lighting. You don't need to. You mix the two, I did black and brass, and those mix very well. You can mix other finishes. It just needs to be kind of they need to go together. They need to flow. So that's what I did in this space.
Talk to me about the specification process, because I don't want to call it a fear, right? But many designers have this concern, and that's probably the best way to put it. Mm-hmm. When it comes to adding tech, what's funny to me? So your explanation rather, of talking to the builder and saying, "Look, green, you're concerned, get it. Here's why I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. Here's what it's going to do. Here's what it's going to solve. Here's the purpose for it. You're going to love it. Trust me." When it gets to the tech side of things, what's behind the walls, where to place your generator, how to blend and match the faucetry with the other finishes. Those are things that are a bit more nuanced and a bit more technical. Mm-hmm. How do you address, talk to me about the learning process, because when it comes to a steam shower, it's a highly functional,
yes,
high reward
yep.
proposition.
Yep.
This is something you think about, it's sometimes when you're thinking about design and you're working with clients, you have to put a cost per use to things, right? Because it's well, that's so expensive, or this is not expensive as expensive as I thought. But when you think about something how often are you going to use this?
Yeah.
Are you going to use this every single day? If so, talk about the quality of life. What's that worth? Where do you start with that cost basis as far as reward, cost per use? the technological side, like how am I going to approach this? And I imagined sorry, I tend to do this sometimes where I'm throwing like one question
One
leads
question
to
then
10.
leads to another.
But I'm curious that, the idea is, what is your process when it comes to these elements, and how do you deliver that, such as in this space, to your clients?
So if they have a wish list and they're like, oh, I would really like a steam shower, I do ask the questions of, have you been in a steam shower? Would you use it every day? Do you see that benefit in this bathroom to really invest? Because those are pieces that you do need to invest a lot more in. Those are features that, not every bathroom has. So we talk about budget in the beginning, and budget for like the remodel for this bathroom. It's hard to really get to a number because the client doesn't know. Even me, sometimes I have a better idea than the client, but sometimes if they're throwing out steam shower and heated floors and all these things, I'm like, okay, I need to get quotes together. I need support from the reps. So like ThermaSol rep, I would get support from them, or Kohler, or whoever that we're putting their product in. I do get a lot of support, and they help me get all those SKU numbers, everything that I need for this remodel or new build.
And I imagine that that's incredibly helpful too.
Absolutely.
You mentioned something too that's interesting, like they don't know that they want steam. And it's funny because I make no bones about it. I am a ThermaSol fan. Mm-hmm. Like I've used the product. I've seen them in action. I've seen their training. I've seen how they work directly with creatives like you to help provide you what you need. And I feel like that's a rarity in the business today, especially because everybody's so busy. But when it comes to something like this, like, adding, do you talk about the features and benefits with the clients? Are they curious about that? Are they asking, what questions do they ask?
They don't ask specific questions on like, what are the benefits? They just see it. Like they go to a really cool hotel, they see it, they want it. That's like probably 90%. You'll get that 10%, even 5% that I know all the benefits or we need to know every single thing about it. Very rare. Very rare do I get those clients. It's mostly just that wish list that they want. And when I do put a design packet together for them, I start off with adding everything that they wanted. And if their budget gets very high, I start toning it down. Like, okay, we need to remove this. We need to remove this to get to that price point. Once they start seeing those numbers, then, we need to tweak some stuff. Yeah.
And it's funny, too. I'm putting myself in this bathroom with radiant heat, steam shower, just ultra luxe. You'd have to pry me out of that space. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. Okay, silly question, but curious. When you do a steam shower like that, do you test it out?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Absolutely.
No,
well,
I mean,
no. Like me going, no. I'm not getting in someone's shower. No.
Well, no, it sounds silly, but in all seriousness, like, I'm just curious if that's one of the things, like, I would imagine, were I to be like a kitchen designer, that I would want to test out everything to make sure that it works the way that I would want it to work, that it does what it's supposed to do. And when there's a steam shower, I mean, you'd like I said, you'd have to pry me out of that place.
So what we have in the design center, which is where I have all my design meetings, like I can basically put a custom house together, like 800,000 and up. I mean, I can get get all your selections together in like probably 4 meetings in my design center. And in the design center, we do have a steam shower, and it is a ThermaSol steam shower. So the client, if they really want to experience that, or even me, we can do so.
That is the coolest thing. Has a client ever taken you up on that and gotten in it and used it?
So we just finished the office, which has the shower and the design center. So we will be using it. And also the office has a gym. So like, go work out, get in the steam shower. Yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
Amazing space. Great job.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So there you go. The story comes full circle. When you hear what the goal was at the company's founding 65 years ago and what it has become since, innovators, creators, and purveyors of the finest steam generators on the market today, crafted with purpose and precision, each tested on the line before it leaves the factory and comes with a lifetime warranty. Hopefully you understand why I'm such a fan. Thank you, Mitch, Murray, Allison, and Nadja, for sharing your story and exquisite work. Thank you to my partners and sponsors, ThermaSol, Design Hardware, and Moya Living, for your continued and unwavering support of the show and for the design community. For more stories like these from the design community, please make sure you are subscribing to the podcast so you receive new episodes automatically when they're published. That way, you never miss a single episode. Convo by Design is available everywhere you find your favorite podcasts. Thanks for listening. Until next week, be well and take today first.